When I said no to giving my husband's brother money, his whole family decided to take a vote to force me. They smiled and said, "Majority rules." My husband just sat there and watched. I smiled back and said, "Okay, let's vote on something else." Then I pulled out a piece of paper, and everything went wild. This happened last year. It still hurts. Still feels fresh. I was married for 8 years. I thought I knew what loyalty meant. I believed marriage was about being a team. I thought family meant the people who stood by you when things got tough. I was wrong. Let me take you back. I live in a small town in upstate New York. My husband, Walter, comes from a big old-fashioned family. Sunday dinners at Mom's house. Everyone having strong opinions and lots of unspoken rules. That wasn't how I grew up, but I tried to fit in. I showed up, brought food, smiled, played nice. But his family never really accepted me. They were polite, but I always felt like an outsider, like they were all in on a joke I didn't get. Still, I loved Walter, and I thought love would be enough. Then his younger brother Ryan got into big money trouble. Ryan's always chasing some big idea, selling stuff online, crypto schemes, flipping luxury cars. None of it ever works. The family always made excuses. He's just figuring things out. He's got big dreams. This time, he took out a huge loan and convinced their parents to co-sign. Of course, he couldn't pay it back, and now the bank was after them. That's when they came to me, expecting me to fix it. I'm a surgical nurse. I work hard and save smart. Walter and I don't have kids, and we've been careful with money. So Ryan showed up at our house with his sad story, asking for $18,000, just for a few months. I told him no, politely, calmly. I explained our money was going into house repairs, and I wasn't comfortable lending that much, especially with his history. He didn't argue, just nodded and left. I actually felt a little bad for him until 3 days later. That's when I was invited to a family meeting at Walter's parents' house. Everyone was there, siblings, spouses, parents, except Ryan. He was running late. They all smiled that fake, too nice smile. Then Walter's dad spoke. He said they'd been talking. They were worried about Ryan. And since I had the money, they wanted to be fair and take a vote. Yes, a vote. Like this was a business deal and I was just some obstacle. I looked at Walter, hoping he'd say something. He didn't, just looked worn out. Or scared. I couldn't tell. I asked, "Are you serious?" His mom said, "Yes, majority rules. That way it's fair." I didn't say a word. They voted. Every single one of them voted yes, we should give Ryan the money. Then they all stared at me, waiting. Like I was supposed to just agree because they held some creepy little vote. I looked at them and said, "All right, let's vote on something else." They looked confused. I kept my voice calm. Then I pulled a manila envelope out of my purse and slid it across the table to Walter. He looked confused. His dad asked, "What's this?" I said, "It's a copy of the deed for the house Walter and I own. My name is the only one on the title." Everyone went quiet. I opened the envelope and pulled out another paper. And here's an amendment to the prenup I had made last month. Since you all like votes, I thought I'd make sure my money is clearly separated. Walter, I left a copy of it on your nightstand last week, just in case. His mom looked shocked. His sister's mouth dropped open. His dad's face turned red. I looked straight at Walter. "So do you want to vote again? This time about whether we stay married?" He didn't answer. The room was silent. Then Ryan walked in, acting like nothing was wrong. He smiled that same cocky half smile. "Sorry I'm late," he said, sitting down like this was no big deal. He looked around, noticed the envelope on the table, and saw everyone's faces. "What did I miss?" he asked, grinning. No one said anything. His mom cleared her throat. "We were discussing options." I looked at Ryan and said, "I told them no." He tilted his head. "Yeah, and we voted." I smiled a little. "Right, and I voted too, with legal papers." That wiped the smile off Ryan's face. He looked confused, trying to figure out what just happened. That's when I realized. He didn't know about the prenup change. He didn't know I was serious. He looked at Walter. "Dude, what the hell?" Walter just sat there, still not saying anything. Ryan lost it. He stood up and yelled, "You're just going to let her do this? Let her embarrass us like this?" The word us hit me hard, like I wasn't a person, just some enemy to him. Walter opened his mouth but still said nothing. That's when Walter's dad slammed his fist on the table. "This is not how family works," he shouted. "You don't bring lawyers into family matters. We are not strangers." I leaned forward. "You made this a business deal when you voted like that. You treated me like a bank. I'm just responding the same way." His face turned purple. That's when the next twist came. Walter's sister, Morgan, quiet and always keeping to herself, spoke up. She said, "I'm tired of pretending too." Everyone turned to her. "I gave Ryan $10,000 last year. Never got it back. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want drama. But now, I'm done staying quiet." The room was silent. Ryan blinked. "What are you talking about?" Morgan laughed, but it was bitter. "You promised to pay me back. You said you were flipping a Tesla and needed the money fast. Then you ghosted me." Ryan looked at his mom. "She's lying." But the whole room shifted, like a fog cleared. Then Walter's youngest brother, Jason, spoke up. "I thought I was the only one," he said quietly. "I gave him $5,000 on my credit card. He said it was for a course. That was 2 years ago." Suddenly, it was like everyone started speaking up. A cousin, an uncle. Even Walter's mom looked shocked. Turns out, Ryan had been asking for money from everyone, always with promises and lies. I just sat there silent, watching everything fall apart. Ryan tried to yell over them. "You're all just trying to make me look bad." I leaned back in my chair. "You didn't need help with that." He turned to Walter, panicked. "Say something, man." Walter finally looked at me and asked, "When did you change the prenup?" That was it. No apology. No offer to talk. Just that. I stared at him for a long time, feeling exhausted, not sad. "About 6 weeks ago," I said, right after Ryan's last opportunity came up. His mom was crying now. His dad sat down, drained from the fight. Ryan stormed out. No one followed him. I grabbed my purse. Walter stood up like he was going to follow me. I held up my hand. "Don't." And I left. But that night, I got a message from Morgan. She wanted to talk. What she told me changed everything. I thought I knew about Walter's family and my marriage, but trust me, the story gets darker. Let me know if you want part 3. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, hoping to feel something. Anger, sadness, clarity. But nothing. Just silence. Around 2 a.m., I finally opened a message from Morgan. It said, "Can we talk? I know things I didn't say earlier. You deserve to know." We met the next afternoon at a coffee shop in town. Morgan looked tense but calm. She didn't waste any time. "I don't know how to say this without making it worse," she started. "But I've been waiting for someone to see through Ryan. And maybe Walter too." That last part hit me hard. I asked her what she meant. She took a deep breath. "Ryan's been using people for years. But Walter, he's not just a bystander." I didn't understand at first. Then she said something that made my stomach turn. "You know that crypto thing Ryan tried last year? The one that blew up and left him broke?" I nodded. "Walter was involved. They did it together. That's where most of Ryan's debt came from." I just stared at her, speechless. She pulled out her phone and showed me screenshots, messages, emails, even a payment trail. Walter wasn't just aware of Ryan's messes, he was helping him, moving money between their accounts, covering for him. I felt dizzy. "He told me not to say anything," Morgan said softly. "He promised to make things right." I believed him. But now I see he was just protecting himself. I whispered, "He used our savings." Morgan looked at me but didn't answer. She didn't need to. I remembered something. A few months ago, I saw a big withdrawal from one of our accounts. Walter said it was for emergency repairs. He even showed me a fake invoice. I believed him. I felt sick. Morgan reached out and touched my hand. "You weren't crazy. You were never crazy." I nodded slowly, then asked, "Why are you telling me this now?" She hesitated and then said, "Because I found something else out." I braced myself. "Walter and Ryan went to your parents last month. Tried to borrow from them too." I blinked. "What?" "They told your parents you were thinking of investing in Ryan's new business. They wanted your parents to get in before it launched. Your mom called me after you left last night. She was worried. That's when I realized they're not just using you. They're trying to sell you out." I couldn't breathe. They had gone behind my back, using my name to trick my own parents. I stood up, needing to move, think, do something. Morgan grabbed my arm. I know you're angry, but if you're going to do anything, be smart. Be one step ahead. I'll help. I asked her what she meant. She smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was sharp, tired. I've been keeping track of everything for years. Bank records, texts, emails, screenshots. You want to make a clean break? You'll need proof. That's when the numbness cracked. Something inside me snapped into place. I wasn't going to let them use me anymore. Not Walter. Not Ryan. Not any of them. I looked Morgan in the eye. Send me everything. And she did. By the end of the week, I had enough evidence to ruin them, financially, emotionally, and legally if I wanted to. But I wasn't done. The more I dug, the more I found. Walter had another secret, one that had nothing to do with money. One that explained why he never defended me and why Ryan had so much control. A week passed. Every day, I found something new. Another transfer, another lie, another thread in the web Walter and Ryan had created. I had Morgan's folder. I had my bank records. I even checked my credit. Walter had applied for 2 credit cards in my name, never used them, just kept them there, probably for the next scheme. The night of the final confrontation, I didn't plan for it to explode like it did. But it did, and once it started, it didn't stop. Walter's mom invited everyone to another Sunday dinner. Same house, same table. This time, I agreed. I had one goal. I wanted everyone in one room. When we got there, the atmosphere felt fake, forced smiles, tense laughter. They thought the storm had passed. Walter sat next to me like everything was normal. He kept checking his phone but smiled whenever someone looked. Ryan wasn't there yet. Late again. Typical. I waited until the food was served, drinks poured, and everyone was comfortable. Then I stood up and said, I think it's time for one more vote. They froze. Walter looked at me, confused. I pulled out a small stack of papers from my bag. I didn't make a big scene. I just laid them on the table, one by one. This, I said, pointing at the first paper, is proof of a joint bank account between Walter and Ryan. Opened 3 years ago, nearly $60,000 transferred, most of it from our accounts, some from loans. Walter's mom opened her mouth, but I held up my hand. This, I said, pointing at another paper, is a fake invoice Walter gave me 3 months ago. Said it was for roof repairs. The company doesn't exist. Silence. And this, I held up the last page, is an email sent to my parents using my name, promising them a share of Ryan's fake startup. Walter, you see yourself. Walter's face went pale. No one spoke, so I kept going. I thought Ryan was the only one who lied. But you, I turned to Walter. You're just better at hiding it. You knew I'd say no, so you went around me. You used me. His mom whispered, that can't be true. Morgan spoke up from the end of the table. It is. She pulled out her phone. I've got the messages. Walter asked me to cover for him when he took out the money. He said he'd fix it before she noticed. Finally, Walter stood up, angry. What do you want from me? I was trying to fix things. Ryan was in deep. I didn't think. You never think. I cut him off. You lie. You protect him because he knows your secrets. That's why you never defended me, isn't it? Walter looked at me, and for the first time in all of this, he looked guilty. I stepped closer. What does Ryan have on you, Walter? Silence. He blinked, swallowed, and then muttered, It's not like that. Then what is it like? He looked around the table, at his dad, and then at Morgan. And then he cracked. He covered for me, years ago, when I got into trouble at a job. I falsified reports. I could have gone to jail. He took the blame. I owed him. The room went silent. Walter's dad spoke, quiet but furious. You lied to us. To her, you used your wife to cover a debt you should have paid honestly. Walter looked down. I didn't know what else to do. She always had control over the money. I need a way to fix it before she noticed. That word again. Control. He saw me as the one with the money, the power, the gatekeeper. Not as a partner. Just as a tool. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just reached into my purse and pulled out one last paper. I placed it in front of him. He stared at it and opened it. His face dropped. It was a divorce petition. Already signed by me. No drama. No shouting. Just an end. Majority rules, right? I said quietly. Well, I vote to leave. Then I turned and walked out. No one stopped me. Not even his mom. That night, I stayed in a hotel. 3 hours later, Morgan texted me. He left. No one said goodbye. The fallout happened fast. Walter called me, left a voicemail, crying. He said he was lost. Said he didn't know how things got this bad. Said we could rebuild. I didn't answer. 2 days later, I served the divorce papers. Turns out, the prenup update and all the documents helped more than just saving money. It saved me from dragging out a divorce I never knew I'd need. Guilt over. Morgan kept helping. She even decided to take legal action against Ryan for the unpaid loan. Ryan disappeared for a while. He deleted his social media. People say he's living in New Jersey now, working under a fake company. Walter moved back in with his parents. The family dinners stopped. I wish I could say I walked away clean, but I didn't. There were nights I cried myself sick. Nights I wondered if I'd made the right choice. 8 years with someone who looked me in the eye and still chose lies over truth. It sticks with you. But now, I sleep peacefully for the first time in years. And if there's one thing I learned, when someone says majority rules, remember this. You don't need a vote to leave a burning house. You just need the courage to walk out the door. And I did.